got all sound and everything.
Hello, Freda Wallace. We finally gone live. Yes.
Are we actually working now?
We're working now. Yeah, we had some gremlins attacking us.
I don't know what happened there.
I think the connection broke, and then it was telling me there was an error, and then I had to make a new live, but it's all working now.
I think the problem is I let you do everything, isn't it?
The problem is you just talk to me while I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing, and then everything goes wrong. It's your fault.
Anyway, welcome to Gender Nebulous 30.
30th episode. Well, there we go.
Yeah. First of all, I've got to say, it's been a rough week, hasn't it?
It has.
It's been awful, and I'm not gonna go on to my usual rants today because we just wanted to talk about obviously Brianna Jai and that vigil that we attended last night at Sackville Gardens in Manchester, and I just want to say thank you to people that came. You met my friend Joe.
Yeah.
We met a few people there from Trans Safety Network and Trans Rise Up.
Yeah, Manchester Trans Rise Up were there.
It was absolutely amazing how many people were there, and it was overwhelming, to be honest.
So Sackville Gardens was completely jammed full from end to end. It's absolutely packed, wasn't it?
You see, initially, when
they were only expecting like a couple of dozen people, but the turnout was incredible. It really was.
And also there was a simultaneous protest in London, and I think there were others dotted around, and if people have photos of any of them, let me know, because I'm making a compilation. I'm doing a blog post about all the vigils, as many as I can find, because I think it needs to be documented. It's a moment for us because, you know, we all sort of came together, got out away from Twitter, we got off our computers just for one night. I know I did. And I've been banned on Twitter.
Yeah, you've been banned from Twitter. That's why you're off Twitter.
You see that this is the problem with me, right? Last week, right? I became it brought out the worst in me. Like, because on one hand, I wanted to speak at the vigil, and I asked Mallory, who does Trans Safety Network, can I? She agreed, and I was going to write a poem. And the more I thought about it, and the more people I showed this poem, they said, "Freda, you can't read that. People don't want to hear that now. They want something. You know,
this week these vigils are all about. For me, it's all about remembering Brianna." Being there for the community and her family. And, you know, there was one of her friends at the vigil there in Manchester last night.
It was amazing.
It was. So, yeah, for me, all that anger, I know everybody's angry. I think
there was some amazing...
You know, that anger, we have to wait until later to express that. And I don't know how the community is going to react and what we need to do to try and, you know, prevent this from happening again. It's very difficult to know what exactly to do. But... You know, first of all, we've got to do the vigil. We've got to remember.
Well, I've got some ideas, but
we've got to focus on the family.
Exactly, and I think there's nothing I could have added.
No, there was some great speeches though.
Me being me, I mean, I would have quite happily spoken about, you know, how I've seen this kind of rise in transphobic rhetoric online and things like that, because that's kind of what I've kind of researched. It's what my blog is about. But I was like, nah, not now.
No, it's the wrong time.
I know some people did mention it, and because it's hard not to, because like, but one thing I do want to say to people is, I know, right, you're really angry, and going on Twitter and shouting at turfs or whatever is not the answer, because that's what I did, and it got me a 6-day ban. 7-day ban. So that's just me though. I'm very reactive. I'm very, very impulsive, and that's the way but it's hard not to react to people that are still hateful, that are still trying to spin this story to their advantage in the light of everything that see, when this story broke, it really confused me. It confused me because they were saying there's a girl been murdered, and some people were saying she was trans, but in none of the papers, in none of the reports that in that first 24 hours did they mention transgender. They mentioned girl and that she may have been bullied, but they said it's not a hate crime, and they didn't mention transgender, and that came out later. Now they were still saying it wasn't a hate crime, even until a few days ago. Now I don't know about you, but I don't think anybody's ever been stabbed out of love, have they?
No, I mean for me, it is a hate crime.
But I think the reason it wasn't spoken of in those terms is because of the age of the people involved in this. You're talking 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 15 or
Yeah,
so.
I mean they're all
I
kids.
mean, let's be mindful of that, because this is. But you see, like I've said, I've wrote a little piece about it already, and I'm going to say it now. If you're in an environment where the only time you hear about trans people is when they're criminals, which is what, if you look at the landscape of the British media, we're only ever in the papers or on social media if somebody has something to amplify that's bad about us. Now, if now I don't know how that filters down to 15-year-olds, but I'm pretty sure it does. And we know that Brianna was being bullied. We know that she was expressing that herself to friends and on a TikTok and things like that. I couldn't find the TikTok. It was a bit weird because I was really trying to find the TikTok stream, but I think it's been deleted on
Yeah, it's probably been
possibly
taken down.
possibly on request of the
Mm-hmm.
parents, which I understand, right? But so it's hard for us to because it's hard for us to find a simple perpetrator or an assailant, or because there's such young people, and you think, Christ,
Well,
how
if it does turn out to be a hate crime, um, we're going to have to understand what's behind it, what's caused this to happen. I mean, like you say, we have to remember that these two people who have now been arrested and charged are children. So I don't know. We shouldn't speculate. We've got to wait and see what comes out.
But you see
But
the reason,
I mean, if it, you have to look at all the stuff that's going on in the press and how it influences kids. We don't know how those kids have been influenced. We don't know all the details. So, yeah, we shouldn't speculate. And we really need to focus on the fact that, vigils this week is for the family to remember Brianna and not really talk about the other stuff as much, I don't think. But
yeah, but you see,
I think what I really need to understand is, as a community, this has happened. What do we need to do in our community to prevent this from reoccurring? I mean, I'm really struggling with that. I don't know. I can't think of things that we're not already doing. I mean, can we do more? I don't know.
On one hand, I think there's no rationale for something like that. There's no logical kind of step.
But it needs government to do something, doesn't it? It needs police to do something. It needs communities to do something.
You need positive leaders. You need people.
We need leadership. We don't have any leadership at the moment.
So, I don't know. See, it's all speculation on our part, but we don't know what environment Brianna, school, whether they supported her. We don't know that. But I can imagine it's when I was that age, I didn't know my arse from my elbow. I knew I was trans. I tried to come out, and I sometimes say I detransitioned, but I did. I socially transitioned, and I lived as Freda as much as I could when I was at college, but it just became too much pressure, so I didn't. And I was wondering, it must be so, you must have to be so strong to be 17, 16, 17 and be trans. You know what I mean? That's commendable. within itself to have that kind of self-confidence. Sometimes I see kids and they have the kind of self-confidence. I'm thinking, God, I wish I had that. I wish I had that kind of confidence when I was that age. But maybe I just went to a different kind of school or I came from a different kind of world. But
well, I'm sure that school is doing everything it can to support the students and.
But I do wonder if they ever promote, like positively affirmed her. I don't. We don't know.
We don't know.
Speculation.
Can't speculate.
I like to think that they did, but because kids going to, I don't know. See, the reason I'm sort of dancing around it a little bit is because we don't know the facts yet.
We don't.
And I don't want to talk about these children as if they're, oh, it was inevitable or.
No, we shouldn't say that.
That these are children. They.
But there are some charities that do work in schools, like diversity role models go into schools and try and deal with these kind of issues, like bullying and acceptance and that kind of stuff. So there is some good work going on in these areas.
Yeah, but you see,
maybe we need to do more of that. Maybe more of us need to, try and get involved in things like that.
I've said to people, because I work where I work. You know what I do? I work with the LGBT Foundation when I can, and I meet that group. I say, if we were to do something in schools and say, get a group of kids together, that it's voluntarily done.
You mean from your work?
Yeah, and we just talk about
LGBT Foundation.
Talk about bullying.
Yeah, well, that's what diversity role models do.
Yeah, that's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
But you already know the kind of backlash that would get if it was leaked to the Daily Mail. Oh, trans people are going in schools talking to kids.
Well,
It'd be like we're trying to.
This is already known. They already know about this. Diversity role models don't do it secretly. They have a lot of role models for all the different characteristics, and they go in and talk about bullying from lots of different kind of backgrounds. And
I just want to say, before we go, I just want to say hello to somebody's in the chat. We've got Plankton, and we've got Critical Cupcake, and is it Lois Boutique? I'm not sure who that is, but I'm sure she'll tell me. He, she. Don't need to state your pronouns. I'll just call you all ladies. But I'm just really shocked at the way the media is dealing with this, because already there are certain people who are, trying to play it to their advantage.
Yeah.
The right wing. You've seen it already, because there are angry trans people out there who will say, quite, cutting things. They'll take the worst of that. They'll compile all the worst things people have said and then make that the story. So, there are certain copywriters and certain journalists whose sole job it is to agitate and to make this, it's another commodity in the media. It's always the same. Like if you only had to look at the way, I can't remember which newspaper it was, but there was a newspaper columnist that went to the dentist at Brianna to find a dead name. Right, and I know that.
One of the speakers from last night was saying that journalists were going around the whole area trying to find information about Brianna. Yeah. That's disgusting. That's just, there was photographers at the Vigil taking pictures without asking permission last night. So, the British press, we know it's a gutter press, don't we? We know it's not exactly respectful at the best of times.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't really think of that.
Well, they were just taking people's pictures. They weren't asking permission. I know it's out in the open, it's out in the public, and legally they can do that. But
yeah, you're right there.
When you're at a Vigil, you should be asking permission.
Yeah, that's a really important point. But I think on one hand, I do want that documented in the press. I do want that to be.
But I do want it respectfully.
I think it was, to be honest, because if you look at the pictures in the mainstream news, it's very hard. So I know there are individual people you can see, but most of it.
Yeah, no, but they were doing like at the beginning, there was like 2 or 3 guys with cameras, doing close-up shots of people, and Mallory had to make a statement. If you don't want to be photographed, you can get a mask, but we can't ask them to leave because it's a public park. So I mean that's a bit unpleasant. But anyway, I mean that's a bit of a side issue.
You shouldn't really have to wear a mask for privacy.
Exactly.
But in a sense, it's good that it's documented as a piece of history, because it is.
Well, I mean, there's more vigils tonight and tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday as well. So it's probably going to be continuing for the rest of the week at least.
But it's like, is the national press going to?
Well, I mean, it has been in the national press. It was on the news. BBC, ITV did show it.
Can you say it again?
I think Alexa's talking to me.
Oh dear. Well, another speaker was Annie Wallace.
Yeah,
I thought she was.
Annie Wallace was there. Yeah, she spoke.
Yeah, she was good. I mean, it's good that people came, because she's quite well known. It's good to have people like that, because that's something for the press to cling on to, and they can write about that. But see, one of the problems I have with it is like, I don't want this moment to be wasted. I don't want it to be forgotten, because the people close to Brianna are not going to forget it, obviously. And I know we're not going to forget it, but we do have very short-term memories on social media. We do have very short-term memories when
I don't think this is going to be forgotten.
It's not. No, it won't be forgotten by us, but I mean in the wider public. So when there is talk about trans people, it's not all negative. I mean, why does somebody have to die for us to have this conversation? Do you know what I mean? Does it have to come to that? And I think, unfortunately, it bloody well did. You know what I mean? For us to have a and do you know what happened to me, and why I was really annoyed is because the day of this announcement of this, what happened to Brianna, I got an email from Talk Radio. Yes. And they were asking me to come on and I thought first they were going to ask me to talk about this case, right? And I wouldn't have done, because I was too angry.
What day was that? Was that Monday then?
That was Monday.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have done it anyway. But they didn't want to talk about that. They got a story about the Tavistock and somebody that was whistleblowing.
What were you going to talk about that for?
And the people that they wanted me to talk to were Richard Tice and Isabel Oakeshott.
Well, it was on the Piers Morgan show, but it was being hosted by somebody else, wasn't it?
Yeah, them. But you know who they are. Richard Tice. Yeah. Richard Tice is the money behind it.
I mean, that would be an instant no if they asked me.
Yeah, but the thing is, I kind of wish I had done it, because I would have been so venomous on there. They would have had to cut it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no. Sometimes some of those things, there's just no point in going on some of those things. They're just horrendous setups.
I'll tell you what I did do. I emailed that producer and the other producers that have contacted me in the past, and I gave them a full list of things that have happened, and the people who they platform, what lobby groups they're linked to. One of them's Christian Concern, the other one is FurCop, the other one is the LGB Alliance. And what do all those people have in common, right? They're the people that came to try and attack me. So I told those producers, when you platform people like this, you're contributing to a climate of aggression towards trans people. I'm not saying you're responsible for this death. What I'm saying is you're contributing to the climate, right? Now, if you contribute to that, you have to at least understand your role in it, and either stop platforming those people or just admit that you're not a news organisation. You're just a platform and a mouthpiece for the far right. Right? Just admit it. Don't dance around it anymore. Don't put fancy music around it and get Vanessa Feltz on to make it look a bit mumsy, because it's not. Right? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so this is the first incident of this kind in the UK for a very long time, isn't it?
I think the last one that I can remember that was anywhere near this was Sophie Lancaster.
Yeah. Now, if we just look at, what happens with Trans Day of Remembrance each year, where we go through like the whole list of, people who've been murdered around the world, the UK, thankfully, has not featured in that list for quite some time. You look at this, you look at the stats coming out of the US, and especially around, certain groups, the figures are horrendous. I'm just praying and hoping that that's not the direction of travel that we're going in.
No, but it will be if we don't.
This is why we need to fully understand what's going on and where we're going.
If we don't amplify the right information, if we don't take seriously the people that are doing the work on the ground,
it's going to get worse.
And I'm talking about Trans Safety Network, I'm talking about LGBT Foundation, who do actual work into hate crimes. And that's why I'm involved with them. And it's frustrating for me because I don't give enough time. I am going to actually try and do more.
I think we all need to try and do more in that area, don't we? To try and...
Yeah, but you know what it is? We can't even get a bloody podcast together. We're that busy. So that's why we appreciate when you come in our chat. I know we're not massively popular. I know we've not got loads of followers. But we're not doing it for that necessarily.
We're not doing it for that. We're doing it for other reasons, aren't we?
This is
something that we do to try and, talk about issues because there's really not enough people talking about them. So that's why we do it.
Obviously, we do want to reach as many people as possible. But it's like we're always going to be like factual if we don't know something, we're not going to say it, right? But if we want to share something that I've found out, that I've researched, it might not always be nice to see. And we don't want to be talking. I've made myself a little vow with Vicky not to talk about certain people today, but we know what we're talking about. When I find out information, I share it, and I link these things together. That's what my blog is about, right? But I'm often told by people that I'm wasting my time, and you just
I think it may be a waste of time when we talk about when we name people who do this kind of things. We need to focus on the issues and how to resolve the issues and how to make change. That's what we need to focus on, in my opinion. If we just sit here and list off a bunch of transphobes, what's the point? Everybody knows who they are anyway. We may as well talk about the issues and what we can do to change the thing, on the ground. That's the focus, I think.
But it was only a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, in Glasgow, that there was a they did the protest and about the GRA and all that
cabaret,
the cabaret for trans rights, and we know who else was there, and it's like how have these people got so much lack of empathy that they can still continue to do what they're doing and they haven't stopped because a trans person's died. No. One of the messages I got on DMs on Twitter when I started to talk about this was, "Oh, you're using this to your advantage." I'm using it to my advantage because I was upset about it, so I made a post about it, and somebody's saying you're using that to your advantage, and that was, I know where that's coming from. I know which group of people that's coming from. So yeah, I'm not. That's what we have to deal with. The online. I don't think online transphobia is going to go away anytime soon.
No,
but and another thing.
Critical Cupcakes making a couple of comments. They saying they've spoken to the Guardian in Liverpool, and comment just made there because they completely dehumanise us. That's very, very true.
I was talking to a journalist called Mick Wright, and Mick Wright is called Broken Bottle Boy on Substack. And I noticed this week there were certain people being mentioned that I hadn't seen mentioned before by quite well-known journalists. It was just our little kind of clique of trans kind of bloggers that know who these people are. And they were naming names. I thought, well, that's something I haven't seen before. And when I spoke to Mick, he said he'd actually read something I'd written, and because I'd been sharing this stuff. And I thought, well, that made me feel a little bit better because it made me feel like something I'd written because he liked what I'd written. I don't know if it's because I'm like, oh, this, real journalist says something's good, but yeah, it made me feel a bit better that I wasn't wasting my time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not a journalist. I'm just somebody that has a little bit of a pound on my keyboard when I'm a bit angry.
I mean, we can all do the keyboard warrior thing, can't we?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just
that's it because I don't think I could be objective. I don't think I could ever be the kind of
well, you
person
have
that
to.
says,
I mean, the only way you can do that is you take the emotion, take the anger out of it, and then you just become a machine, don't you? So it's very difficult to write when you've experienced what's happened this week. It's very difficult to write about it without being angry and upset. I mean, what do you say? I don't know. It's down to what how do we react? What do we do? How can we improve things?
as individuals, it feels
we
really
all need
hard.
to up our game, I think.
Well, I think I've met a few people just through the LGBT Foundation, and I think what we want to do, like you said before, is talk about bullying, talk about hate
talk about the
crimes,
issues. Try and get into these places
and let
have the
people
discussions.
Look. It was only a couple of weeks ago that we went on Manchester radio.
Yeah.
Talking to David Scott, and I remember that conversation we had with him because we were talking about the heavy stuff, and we said, "Oh no, we like to be happy and talk about fun stuff." And it's like, bloody hell, I didn't know this was going to happen. So when I was talking to David, we were saying, yeah, we talked about the Sophie Lancaster case, and I said, didn't I? I mean, I'm not Mystic Meg or anything, but I said if we're not careful, the
No,
way
I
the
mean it
media.
has been said. Someone's going to get hurt. We have said that.
I think India Willoughby said it on
Yeah, a
Question
few people
Time.
have said it.
And it's not a joke. It's not like we're just saying it because we're trying to shock people like, oh, somebody's going to get killed. Well, they have, and we didn't even realize how horrible it was going to be ourselves. But here we are, and we're still not fully absorbing it. I don't think we've reached that point yet where we
No.
can look at it objectively. Because you know me, I've been up the wall with it. You had to calm me down the other day.
I did. Yeah.
But we've got good friends and we've got a good network now, I think. And I'm trying to not do the whole Twitter thing. Well, I've been banned.
Well, you've been banned, so you can't.
But you know what? It's probably a good thing.
Well, since I've been off Twitter for the past, I think I've been off there for about 2 weeks now. My mood has drastically improved. I think that's because I'm not seeing all that hatred every day. My mental health and my general kind of mood has improved vastly because of not being on there. I don't think we really realise what seeing all that hate on a daily basis does to us. I mean, you probably kind of absorb it and you don't realise the effect it has on your mood.
To be honest,
So being off for a while is probably a good thing.
I would come off it completely, but there's part of me that needs to know what's going.
We need. I think. I mean, I've not deleted my account. I still have my account, and I will go in and look. But I'm not going to be as active as I was previously.
For me, it's research.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of good things that have come out of me being on Twitter because I met you through it.
Yeah, there's lots of positives. I mean, I've met loads of people through Twitter, really good friends, and yeah, where would we be without it? That's a good point.
It feels toxic though, doesn't it?
I mean, since Musk took over, it's gone worse, hasn't it? But yeah, not a lot we can do about that.
You see, on one hand, I'm a bit of a libertarian and I believe in free speech, absolutely. But on the other hand, I think there's not been enough done to people that have quite big accounts. I'm talking about people that have got over 10,000.
He's let a load of people back on, hasn't he?
But people that have got like over 10,000 followers are making these really disturbing links to, what I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention.
No.
I vowed I wasn't going to mention any names. You know what I'm talking about. But why did they do it? What is it? What is the motivation for them? Why? I mean, I think if I was popular on Twitter, I'd put I put cats on. You know what I mean?
Well, Mallory made a good point during her speech, didn't she, about certain individuals profiteering out of this kind of thing. And we all know who that is. Or there are certain people who, sell merchandise based on the kind of stuff they do online.
Of course.
I mean, why is that the reason they do it? To make money? It could be one of them.
I think the fascists have figured out a way to massage their egos and make a bit of coin out of it and siphon some money, some tax dodge.
I mean, what do they get out of it? Notoriety, profit.
But eventually, the thing to remember is, right.
I mean, those are the things you need to attack. Whatever makes it worthwhile for them, those are the very things we need to attack.
You see, this is the thing, though. This is the rub. It's not individuals. It's like the Hydra. If one of them goes down, another head comes up.
Oh yeah, this is true.
So it's not the individual. It's the mechanism which allows that machinery of hate to grow.
I mean, look what they do. They write books. They sell books on this topic, on hatred books, basically. They sell merchandise. They do appearances. There's a lot of money being made by these people on our backs.
Yeah, because they sell it on the back of being like they're free speech advocates. They're standing for women. But if they actually were honest about what they actually want, they probably wouldn't have. They wouldn't have wormed their way in so easily. It's like when I was writing about what's happening. I haven't written about Brianna really. I've written about the media response to it, and this is the way it went for me. So like a couple of weeks ago, we had question time. You've got India Willoughby, put in an untenable situation with Alla Whelan. Now, Alla Whelan has no empathy or understanding of India Willoughby's experience. She just wants to get this point across that men can't be women. That's the only thing. And he had that mix of that whole thing with the Scott, the Isla Bryson case, which I was absolutely weaponized and to try to link all trans people to that. And that was the story, right?
And that was all linked to the GRR, and it was all linked to Nicola Sturgeon.
But we'll get on to Nicola Sturgeon in a minute. Right, and then what you've got is this war, and it's like instead of talking about real issues that are affecting people in this country. I'm not saying that doesn't affect people. Yeah, it affects trans people, but the actual details of government and what is going on, and there's so much not being talked about. Because that show, Question Time, it's once a week. So are we seriously going to spend 15 minutes on a once a week political talk show talking about whether trans people should be in female prisons? Because it's not really something that's going to affect many people, is it?
It's not a pressing issue, is it?
So the mechanism is that this is the hot topic because the media has made it the hot topic. It's like a repetitive cycle. It's like the snake that eats itself. And it just gets fatter and fatter, it's not journalism. It's a meme that just gets bigger and bigger and gets shared more and more. So the story is the story. The story is the story, and then something changes the story because something bigger will happen, and then we're all going on about immigrants, or we're all going on about something else.
And then in the background we've got there's a new Tory party chairman now, isn't there? And he's already been saying things like they're going to be using this issue on trans people as in the next general election. They're going to be using these topics as
you're talking about
to weaponize us even more. So
are you talking about Lee Anderson?
Yeah,
30p Lee. Well, you see, Lee Anderson is there. Lee Anderson is one of those people that's risen up because in the Brexit climate. Because he's a nationalist, he's one of these people.
Who on earth makes him chairman? This is all leading up to the election.
Yeah,
they're just going to go even worse than they already are.
Because this right,
you see what's going on in the States with Trump and what he's been saying.
Well, this is it now because we're coming up to an election cycle.
Yeah, both countries are coming up to an election.
So just be warned about what is being promoted and what is being said and why.
Yeah.
Because
Deputy Chairman 30p Lee.
If they think they can frighten people into voting Tory by saying there's trans people taking over, they will. Even no matter how ridiculous it seems to rational people. Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat. I can't see it from here. My glasses have steamed up. I'm getting angry.
Yeah.
Can you see the chat? I'm trying to.
Yeah, critical cupcake. I've been screaming at Labour, not that they listen to me, that if they don't confront this before the election, then the Tories will beat them with it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was going to continue what you said about Nicola Sturgeon before, because like Nicola Sturgeon, yes, was it yesterday?
It was yesterday. She's announced she's quitting.
No, I think for all politicians' faults and all, we can all be cynical about politicians, but I think Nicola Sturgeon's been one of the good ones.
Nicola Sturgeon is an outstanding politician. I'm really sad to see her go. You look at where she came from. I mean, she's pretty much came from being nothing to being one of the best politicians in the world. Sad to see her go. The reasons why, I don't think we've properly heard the full story, but it's related. It's probably related to the fact that she's kind of backed into a corner now with independence. Where can she go with that? I mean, people are talking about she's run out of road on that issue. I mean,
well, she always had the thing in mind about independence, and I think
but the High Court judgment that came down recently has kind of put the blocks on that for now. How do they get to a position where they can have another referendum? I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do that.
Well, I'm in the process of getting my gender recognition now because I'm really worried if I don't do it soon, they might revoke all gender GRA. You know what I mean? You never know. I want to get. So I would recommend that people do it if you're in a position where you're far enough along your transition. I know how awful that is that we have to go through these 2-year waits and you have to submit all your documents and get 2 doctors to sign. It's
really bullshit, basically.
It's like so gate kept, but you do it if you can, because at the end of the day, when I first thought about it, I thought, I'm not bothered. Do I need it? I've got my driving license and passport. What else do I need? But actually, because I've had to deal with some quite difficult financial situations after my dad died, I realised I did need it, and it would have made that easier.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
if you can do it, I would advise to do it. And
if you want to get married, do you know what? If you want to get married ever, and you like, it's just good to have it.
But it's not. It's easy to say, just do it. But we obviously recognise the fact that to get to the point where you can do it, you need to have, got your 2 medical reports, and that's based on how far you get in the NHS.
By the way,
you can go private, but there's issues with that as well. Yeah.
Can I just put something out there? If anybody wants to marry me,
wants to what you marry you?
Marry me, yeah. Send pictures. Yeah. Was
that an advert?
It's been a terrible week, and I'm sick of it, and I just want to remember Brianna Jai, and I just want to remember her, that happy girl. Yeah. When I look at that TikTok, when I look at those TikTok videos that people have saved, that are now on YouTube, and I see those pictures, and I think that's frozen in time now. That just remember she managed to be herself. No, I know it was a very short time, but at least she did express that, true self, which I didn't do at that age. I tried, but I couldn't because I was too weak or whatever. I don't know why, but I think that's respectable, and it takes a lot of courage to do. I know TikTok is daft and people make silly videos of doing makeup, and you might think it's stupid, but actually no, it isn't stupid, because there are other young people watching that, and for those 16, 15, whatever they are, that's hope. They don't have to be like me, being all bitter and twisted and going on about turfs. If it makes you happy to watch a video of a girl doing a makeup and that makes you happy, that's just as political to me as writing for a newspaper or whatever. I just think Just remember that, because and the fact that she was able to be herself for
Yeah.
those few short years, I think that's the thing we need to celebrate.
Celebrate her life, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, celebrate it, because I think it's rare. It's so rare that young people do have that. You know, it seems to me like a family actually did support her.
Yeah.
And she's somebody that mermaids would have supported. She's somebody that, you know, that she would have got something from that, and she would have got something from youth groups and anybody, any charity
I think about the other 16-year-old trans people I know that we've met at various events over the past few years. I think about them and how they're kind of thinking about this, because it must be really kind of scary, worrying for them and their families. You know, they'll find themselves in very similar situations, no doubt. I mean, what's in place for them? How are they being protected? You know, so well, as a community, we need to make sure that we're, you know, making sure everybody's, you know, okay with this. You know, the after effects of it, it's not going to be easy.
It's not. It's gonna be difficult for a long time.
Yeah.
But at least we have that image of that happy young trans girl, and that is rare. And I think that should be set in stone. You know, and it should be that will be her memory. That those few pictures that we have of her, that will be the memory that we have. So yeah, I'm just thinking about the family there. Do you know what I mean? Because none of us know what that feels like. I mean, we know what it's like to lose somebody, but not at that age. You know what I mean? That's, you know, it's not right in these circumstances. So I'm glad we went to the vigil, and I'm so happy that so many people have come out. And you know, there were so many allies there. They weren't just trans people at those vigils.
Cross-section.
You could tell, because there were like nearly 2,000 people in Sackville Gardens, you know, and last night, and there were claps for the speakers. There were tears. There were just, you know, and it was just, I met some nice people, and we had a little drink after, didn't we? And I chat.
We had some, yeah.
I think I don't think I can say any more, Vicky. I'm just
I understand. And then, you know, Nicola resigning.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of related to.
It is
the independence thing. It's probably, unfortunately, related to what happened with the GRR, gender recognition reforms. I mean, I hope the next leader, whoever that's going to be, is somebody who's just as supportive of LGBT and especially trans issues as Nicola was, and can carry on with that.
Well, we don't.
I worry that the SNP is going to drop it and not bother fighting it now. I think
we're going to have to wait.
We're going to have to wait and see what happens. See who comes in. See who comes in. I mean, I would love to have somebody like Mary Black take over, but she can't because she's a Westminster MP. But she would make an awesome SNP leader.
I mentioned Mary Black because I made a status about, you know, I've noticed since Nicola Sturgeon that she's only ever talked about negatively by people that hate us. So that, excuse me, is a good thing, because it shows that if you're hated by idiots, it means you're doing something right.
Yeah.
So, but Mary Black, I don't want her to be First Lady. I want her to be the Prime Minister. You know what I mean? I want somebody like, why can't somebody who has, because it's not that I
think the SNP should go national. You know, they should open up across the whole of the UK and take over the entire country.
Yeah, it's not that I want people to support trans people. Obviously, I do, but I recognise that if somebody says that they support trans rights, then they also support other minorities. If you show me somebody like who's forward thinking, who understands trans issues, I can show you somebody that knows race issues. I mean, not always. I mean, that's a sweeping statement, but generally speaking, as politicians go, I'd say a high tide lifts all boats. So if you're going to campaign for trans issues, you're also going to campaign for equality in other areas. Whereas if you show me somebody like Lee Anderson, if you show me somebody like Dominic Raab, I know exactly what their opinions are going to be on my...
Maybe we're going to see Nicola in the Houses of Parliament next. Maybe she's going to become an MP.
Well, you never know.
That would be good.
But I think it's going to be... I'll be honest with you. We need people like the Trans Safety Network. We need that more than ever. We need people like LGBT Foundation more than ever, and Stonewall and Mermaids. I mean, I have a lot of issues with Stonewall because I just bloated. I think there are part of me thinks they're a big bloated organisation that need a kick up the arse, and Mermaids and things. I know there's issues that that are untenable, but I think we need more new people. The problem is there's so few of them that they become monopolies of issues, where there should be many organisations that can keep each other in check. If you have one organisation and there's only one doing one thing, chances are they might mess up because nobody's overseeing or monitoring things enough because they're all completing each other's sentences. So if you have many organisations, like if you had one gender clinic, you're going to get things go wrong because there's only one, and it's in London, and the waiting lists and everything. So why not have a gender clinic in every city? Yeah. Why not have a gender?
I think we really need to go and look at some other countries and see how they do these kind of things.
But under this government,
because under this, this country at the moment, with the way it's going, it's awful on many levels. We've got some more comments there.
Well, Cupcake just said about Stonewall. They don't, because the reason is like if you ever see
the Stonewall 100 index is out today. I don't know if you've seen that, but there's some good companies in the top 100.
Your sound went a bit funny then, Vicky.
My sound?
Yeah, you cut out. I didn't hear what you said. Sorry, I'm doing two things at once.
There's a couple of comments. Plankton disappoints me that Nicola Sturgeon is an SMP. Should be a class MP.
Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Thank you. I would agree with that. Gone but not forgotten. I'm not sure how to pronounce your first name, but is it? How do you say that, Freda? Help me out here.
I can't say. Gone but not forgotten. I've got boutique.
Boutique. I'm not sure how you pronounce the first name, but boutique. Yeah.
I think she's spelled.
Gone but not forgotten.
It looks like Lois.
Looks like Louise, but it's spelled differently. It's not Louise. It's Lesui, something like that. I don't know. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
You were talking about political parties before.
And she also said before, banned for what? You girls are my heroes. It's a badge of honour. Horrible. Let's have a proper Irish wake to Brianna. Yeah, totally agree with that.
Well, I wanted to talk about politics a little bit because the Scottish Greens seem to be the only kind of, pointing out media misinformation at the moment. Because on the BBC, I don't know if you ever listened to, when I got up for work in the morning, I put Radio 4 on and I listened to the Today programme. Because when stories are breaking, that's where they're going to, first thing in the morning, right? And obviously when the main presenter there is Nick Robinson, and Nick Robinson's well in with the Tory party. It's just well known. And when you hear these conversations, when you hear a voice stand up for us, it makes my ears prick up. And I'm like a little rabbit, and I shouldn't have to be like that.
No, it's because we don't hear it often enough. It's not
normalised.
What I'm
saying. So when somebody says something, that trans people might not be all horrible, I'm like, oh my God, somebody likes us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be like that.
No. I think, but I really do think we need to go and look at some other countries and how, they're doing a lot more than we're doing.
Well, that's one way of looking at it, I suppose.
Go and see how. You hear that expression. What does good look like? What is who's the leading country on how it should be done?
Yeah.
Let's go and learn from them.
Perhaps we're living in a political world now where things have become quite bloated and people are blasé about rights because because in a way, we're very lucky in this country, aren't we? We kind of do have quite, I mean, I'm not comparing countries. It's not probably wise to do that. What I'm trying to say is we've got to a stage, some people, where they're just able to get on with life. They don't even have to think about politics if they don't want to. They don't even have to engage with anything because everything's fine. As far as they're concerned, they've got enough money. And if they've got enough money in the bank and they can play PlayStation at the weekend or whatever it is, everything's fine. So we are quite complacent. So sometimes it feels like you've really got to punch people and grab them by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah, but don't do that. Okay.
No, but metaphorically, and say, listen, you've no idea what's going on, and that's what it feels like. It feels like you have to do that. But I probably end up grabbing somebody by the scruff of the neck.
I'll stop you. Don't worry. I'll grab hold of you and pull you away.
And it's like I think strong leaders like Nicola Sturgeon.
Yeah, more of them.
They inspire people to do good things. If you've got some Burke,
look at
like
the state
Boris
of the Tories,
Johnson,
they're a bunch of wish-washers, aren't they? Good grief.
I mean, I had high hopes for Rishi. When Rishi came in, I thought, ethnic minority, he might know a bit about diversity.
Minority who happens to be a billionaire, yeah.
Well, he might know something about inclusion and diversity.
He knows nothing about that.
No, absolutely no hope there whatsoever.
So I think we have the pronouncement. Is it Le Sueur, something like that?
I don't want to get it wrong because I don't like.
No, I don't want to get it wrong, but I had to go. Anyway, yes.
Le Soir.
I agree.
Voulez-vous que je à le roi ce soir?
Irish, not French.
I don't know. That's lovely. It's lovely name.
I'm assuming Irish. I don't know.
Do I look a bit flushed?
Do you look flushed?
No.
You do look. Yeah.
Yeah.
You having a hot flush?
I think it's the hormones. I can't. What I wanted to say, because we always like to end on something positive, and I thought that was going to be really difficult to do.
It was difficult to do.
Given circumstances.
But I'm sure about how to do it. But yeah.
But what I think one way to do it is look, we all came together in the streets. And we've got to keep doing that. We've got to get it. Like I'm talking to myself when I say this. We've got to get off Twitter. We've got to start arguing with people that don't care if we live or die. We've got to start having conversation with people that can actually change things. And I know that's difficult. I know that takes more work, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to the LGBT Foundation. I'm going to try and do more.
Well, I'm going to join that as well. I'm going to. You need to sign up to be a diversity role model.
Well, I want you to come with me to the LGBT because I want a lift.
Okay, I'll drive as long as you buy dinner.
And we need to start making lists of organisations, like you said about diversity champions and things like that. We need to start making lists of positive organisations instead of listing all the.
One thing I was thinking that we could do on the podcast, how we do the news reviews on Sundays and we do this live on Thursday. Well, we might switch it back to the way it was before, just because of schedules and things. But I think one of the things we need to focus on is like local LGBT organisations. We should maybe showcase some of those and the good stuff they're doing. Get those people on so they can talk about what they're doing out there in the community. I think that would be good.
Well, you see, promote those a little bit. The way I got involved with the LGBT Foundation initially is through the ambulance service because we were noticing a lot of homeless people when we were driving around at night. And I was like, you can't just drive past people. You know what I mean? In an ambulance, if you're not doing a call, you just go and talk. So I said, and a lot of what I was noticing is a lot of these men were gay men on the street, and I don't know why that is. Just a lot of them were. And that's why I started, and I started also realizing that they were alcoholic, and it goes with the territory, homelessness, unfortunately, with mental health and drug use and alcohol use. So I started to attend because they had the recovery meetings, and I wanted information on that. So when I did speak to someone in the street, I can say, look, I'm not an expert, but if you want to talk to somebody, I can signpost you in the right direction. Yeah. So if you want help, as an individual, I can't straighten you out. I can't. I'm not gonna be able to take you out of this situation. But if you choose to make that choice, you wanna talk to somebody who can help you. Here's the number.
Yeah,
and that's all you can do.
That's all you can do. Yeah, but it's
Because on one hand, sometimes you want to be Mary fucking Teresa.
Yeah, you can't.
And go
like you say, as one individual, you can't do it. Can you? We've got to do it collectively.
Well, it's like we do what we do on an individual basis, don't we? And there are big organisations out there that have got a lot of funding. Let's face it, like Shelter and Stonewall. They have a lot of money, and we need to make sure they are channeling it in the right direction. It's like sometimes the watchers have got to watch the watchers. Do you know what I mean? It's like the people that are there to protect us need watching. And that's all I'll say about that. Because you've got to understand some of these organisations are a bit out of touch, these big charities. And it's not because they're not doing good work, it's because they're politically involved. They can be
they have their own agendas, don't they?
They can be damaged by political interest because
deliberately
damaged
themselves. Sometimes.
They've allowed themselves to be.
Yeah, but look at the attack that some of these individuals who work for these charities come under. It's a relentless attacks across the board against the people who run these organisations. We've seen that happen recently.
Oh yeah, of course.
Nobody's perfect. People are human. They're not going to get it right all the time. But to come under attack constantly at the same time as dealing with stuff like that, it's not surprising they leave and disappear and go do other things.
If you have to court people in power, I think that's a bad thing. If you have to, because we know representatives from Stonewall go in the media and they've been on BBC, and I'm listening to these interviews and I'm shaking with the anger that this person is being so moderate and letting somebody say some of the transphobic things they're saying and not getting angry about it because they're not really on the ground. These are like PR people for the charity that don't really have a vested interest in approving anything, and that's the problem. That's. I mean, I might be wrong, and I might be being a bit harsh, but that's what it comes across like sometimes.
Yeah, we have to be careful not to kind of generalize that, but
but imagine if I was to say get a job that was quite high up in a charity. I know if they were a big charity, I'd be representing that charity as an organisation, not as an individual. So I'd have to be very careful what I said. So it's just part of. It's like if you were to talk about
there's things that those people who run those charities have to go and do because they need to talk to people that we don't like.
But what I want to see as a charity now and fundraising in the name of Brianna. I want to see a Brianna Foundation. I know it's too soon and it would have to come from the family.
Yeah.
But like the Sophie Lancaster Foundation that deals with hate crime.
I think some of these large, LGBT and trans organisations that we know, could definitely get involved in doing some kind of foundation. Definitely, yeah. They do need
to because this moment cannot.
To tackle the issues behind whatever's happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I definitely, if you're listening and you want to support any of these organisations, I'm gonna make a blog list about it, and I'm gonna because they all need support. They've all got lots of initiatives. You might not, be able to. Obviously, you can't give to every bloody charity. We're all skint. But if you can if you can just give a little bit to the one that you think is doing the thing your heart is closest to, I think that's the best way.
Yeah.
And Trans Safety Network definitely, and grassroots organisations. I know I'm bigging them up, but it's because I heard a really amazing speech last night, and it just made me think, these are the people that are actually dealing with stuff.
Day-to-day basis.
Not Stonewall. Anyway,
so let's end on a positive. Let's all pledge that we will try and do as much as we can, join some of these organisations, and help out
just remember,
where we feel as though we can make the biggest difference. I mean, let's all try and do that.
Yeah, and just remember that while it is absolutely horrible what happened, that
Yeah.
we're all on the same page. We know that, we've got support. People do support us. We are, if families out there, it shows that there is love out there. And while it might seem like like me, when you spend every waking hour on Twitter, that everything is all negative, it isn't really. There is some shit out there, but there's some good people doing good things. And those are the people we need to start talking more about.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be back on Sunday with our weekly news roundup.
Yeah.
I still need to put out the Paul Bloomer.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Chat that we had. I've not had a chance to edit that. I've been too busy.
I think that's a really important one.
I'm going to try and get that done tomorrow afternoon. We'll get it out soon. Based on what's happened this week, there's some content in there which is relevant, isn't there? So we need to get that out.
Yeah. We'll have to bear in mind that when we do put it out, that it was recorded
about
of weeks
3 weeks
ago.
Yeah.
So this was way before. Sorry, this was way before the incident on Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
And I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you'll continue to share our videos.
We will.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye for now.
Mwah. Lots of love. Love is on the way.
Love is on the way.
And don't
panic.
Can we do the song? Don't forget to subscribe.
Go on.
1, 2, 3. Don't forget to subscribe. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you messed it up again. You messed it up.
You messed it up. You messed it up. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, you do that deliberately.
Mwah. Okay. Love is on the way.